I am Patricia Jonathan, 68 years old, a retired paralegal, residing in Athlone. I was never ill. Up to this day, I hardly ever get a flu. So I can say I lived a very healthy life, and I was always very, very concerned about my hands, my nails being well groomed. You know, the paintings on the fingernails and toenails must match. And I could not use the nail clipper nor cut bread with a bread knife. I had a special bread knife. And there was just this weakness of not being able to put pressure.
My uncle told my mom that sounds like it could be rheumatoid arthritis, but let's have it checked out. He eventually took her to the doctor, did the blood test, and then it came back that it was.
Mrs. Pat Jonathan is a 68-year-old patient with rheumatoid arthritis. She's had arthritis since she was in her 30s, so it started in the late 90s. And she's got very severe disease.
I've then felt my world was crumbling because I had had experience of watching grandmother, parents aching and paining, and their pace of doing things slowed down, so did mine. Professor Hodgkinson, she took a lot of time to listen to the extent that my disease has developed.
She was started on a disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drug, a DMARD is what we call them for short, quite early on.
My disease remained active in spite of the top medications.
You could call it chemotherapy. It does act by stopping the inflammation, turning the body's fight against itself off. She's been on that pretty much ever since. Because she's got such aggressive disease, we've had to add other disease-modifying drugs. Mrs. Jonathan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you come in? So Mrs. Jonathan has had severe rheumatoid arthritis for 25 years odd, and I think her disease is fairly well controlled, the inflammation in her joints. So what she's left with is quite a lot of damage. How are you?
In between,
Yeah.
fair and mild,
Yeah. Struggling
but
a
not
bit?
excellent.
Not?
No.
Okay.
It's quite scary because now that I know what I know about it, I know that it does affect the heart, and she's also aging. I think it's at the point of deforming now, the joints and things. So for me, if I don't hear from my mom, I'm quite worried, like, is she okay?
Shoulders, knees, ankles still. The growths underneath my feet is bad.
Do that for me.
Shoulders.
that.
It is a crippling disease. Let's not run away from that fact. And it cannot be cured, but you can manage that disease. This disease. I feel I'm looking quite good for someone that's not in a wheelchair yet. Because of the early detection, the doctors told me, had I not acted then with the slight weaknesses in the wrists, they would not have been able to prevent the disease progressing faster.
As I say, her disease is relatively under control, so our job now is to treat her pain and to enable her to carry on living to the best of her ability. And rheumatoid arthritis patients like Mrs. Jonathan are amazing, the way she's adapted. So I think her prognosis is good.
Is that called self-pity? When you start crying, you're all alone? I don't think so. This is a real disease, and you've really got to train yourself to manage it. You'll get there. You'll get there.